Welcome to the show. This is No Interference. We are your hosts today, Westside and the Bull. Sassafras is enjoying a nice little vacation, but is what it is. We're just gonna hop right to it. Basically, breaking news. Probably not by the time you see the video, but for us, it is breaking news. The Bears have traded the number one overall pick to the Panthers in return for DJ Moore, two first round draft picks,
overall.
A second round pick this year, and a second round pick in 2025, so a little bit down the road.
Yeah, I didn't know how long you could advance. You could trade in advance in the NFL.
I don't think
2 years
the NFL has rules because so in the MLB you can't trade picks. In the NBA they have a lot of rules regarding trading picks,
mm-hmm.
and in the NFL I think it's like you want to trade the pick, go right ahead.
No matter the years in advance or anything. Ain't no stipulations.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
As far as I know, you
just don't see it too often. We've seen 3 first rounders go.
Yeah.
Before, right? But overall, interesting trade to say.
So the teams. I mean, I kind of the news coming out was that the Panthers owner, he wants a quarterback for his team. He supposedly really wants to turn the Panthers around. And the news is, the news is that they want CJ Stroud.
So it is CJ.
That's what the news is. I mean, who knows? I really saw a
report as well.
What
that they're willing to even trade back 2 or 3 picks.
Oh, trade back.
Yeah, because if they're interested in multiple quarterbacks, they're willing to take that first round pick they just traded for and then still produce more draft capital afterwards. Because if somebody, even just
pulling a little.
Could get you an extra couple picks throughout this year, next year.
They're pulling a little RJ.
I didn't learn that. I didn't start this. Remember this. I did not start trading back. I just saw it and I was like, "That's a good idea." Let me get an extra 3rd round pick here and there.
I'll be honest. I'm still on the what's his name? Florida quarterback Richardson.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson.
Anthony. Yeah. I'm still on the Anthony Richardson to the Colts bandwagon. I really thought that they might trade up for him.
Well, what pick are they for? The Colts.
I don't know off the top of my head.
They're definitely top 5.
But I'm still I'm gonna die on the whole Anthony Richardson to the Colts hill. But Panthers trading up for number 1 overall is interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. I'll be honest. Ohio State quarterbacks. Don't know how I feel about them.
Justin Fields is most recent to judge.
I mean, CJ Stroud. I mean, he's got a nice build. He's athletic. He has a catalog of kind of like, oh my God, throws where he drops the ball right on the money with pressure in his face.
Mm-hmm.
But historically, a lot of these quarterbacks that came from like loaded top ranked schools, I always have hesitations. But if you're a Panthers fan, like this has got to be, huge news. I don't think they gave up a ton.
Trade, but it was a pretty good trade.
Yeah. I don't think they gave up a ton to move up. DJ Moore is arguably a contract they wanted to get away from anyway. I like DJ Moore. I don't know what happened this year. If it was just coaching, quarterback relationship, or who knows what. But
I'm definitely thinking, like you said, more contract caps. Scenario with DJ. I mean, nowadays though, finding a number 1 or even any receiver is probably the least of it. I feel like a lot of NFL teams worries. There's just so much talent out there. There's a lot of other positions, especially if you're going through a rebuild. Do you want to focus on? Especially I know how you are with your, it's all about the trenches. I'm quarterback in trenches. That's where you start because you can find skill players all over the draft, all over free agency. wherever. It's. I mean, I'm not saying obviously there's ones that are above the others, but in general, people can make plays.
I mean, yeah, I just think it's a time and tested. If you have a decent quarterback with a good O line and a good D line, you're probably gonna win more than you lose.
Yeah, and then everything else you can kind of just do what you got to do to fill in the spots at the end of the day.
Yeah, but
good for DJ Moore for looking for a new spot. I don't, you got Justin Fields behind the helm now. I think the Bears are definitely trending in the right direction.
Well, I will say, on talking on the Bears side of things, this is obviously them saying that they're sticking with Fields. They're going to get picks to build around them.
They don't need to go for the DJ Moore. In the top 5.
Up until this year, DJ Moore, I think, was the only. Before this year, DJ Moore was the only receiver, only receiver in the league to have 3 straight years of like 1,200 scrimmage yards or something like that.
Yeah, he's definitely
so he was productive, and his deal's not bad. He gets like it's like $12 or $15 million a year. Seeing how receivers are getting like 20 million and plus now, like.
Yeah. I mean, especially when like Christian Kirk signing last offseason kind of fluctuated the market. We talked about that before.
Yeah. So now Justin Fields will have DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, dude from the Steelers that they traded for.
Claypool,
which I think that was. They also get their second round pick back that they gave away for Claypool. Now they do have a second again. And then they got Cole Kmet. So, I mean, it's not the best receiving core in the league, but you can work with that, especially if you're going to try to especially if you're going to try and have a run, like a good run game. And then just when you need to throw, like you have options. Like Mooney can take the top off when healthy. Claypool, I don't know about Claypool. His rookie year, you're like, everyone was like, I feel like salivating at his potential. And then it was like, is he that good? But DJ Moore is I think he can still put up. I think he can still be like a 70 catch, 1,000-yard receiver. Maybe not on this team, but it's there. The talent is there, and that's what you want. The talent. Sometimes you don't care about the production.
100%.
But yeah, I think this was a pretty good trade. I don't think either team got like hosed. I think each team got what they needed. So I don't think there's a clear cut winner. Maybe in a couple of years after all the draft picks have been used, we'll know.
That's definitely the biggest thing with the draft.
But
picks.
as of right now, like I don't think either side, if you're a fan base of either team, I don't think you can be like mad about how that went down.
No, because especially like with the addition of Claypool last year didn't do much. They lost out Robinson, yada yada. But I mean, you got Mooney too. If Justin Fields makes that next step, that's a squad right there. When it comes down to it, DJ, like you said, we talked about DJ's stats. His only year he didn't have over 1,000 was his rookie year and last year. We all know the quarterback situation that Carolina had last year. So you can't really put too much on him. He played 17 games the last 2 seasons too. Before then, only missing, I think, 1 or 2 a season. Overall, he is a solid receiver, somebody you can build around.
He's a good player.
Yeah, exactly. You can go up for ball. He's definitely not the tallest, but he'll go up for him. He's fast, crisp route runner. Give him a quarterback that's good. You see it for sure.
Solid Maryland boy.
Yeah, you know how we feel about the Maryland boys. Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, killing in the receiver game. Actually, they had 2 receivers coming out this year. They'll probably be mid to late round picks. But there's 2 in the draft. There's some athletic.
Maryland has some guys in the draft this year.
Overall, yeah.
They're corner Banks. I like him. I think he's gonna be late first round pick or early second. Yeah.
Darnell Savage too is a great safety / corner in the league right now. He's had his up and downs with the Packers. He's another, Maryland is producing more and more talent every year. See what can actually start winning games in the Big Ten.
All right, so let's go talk about some of these free agency signings, if you will.
These really early pre-tampering period free agency signings. Because these are all players that were cut, right? If you're released by a certain time, you're allowed to negotiate or something.
So some of them aren't free agency, but deals have been put in place.
Yeah.
I guess if we want to start, before we get into some of the extensions, let's talk about players who got the tag. If we can do that real quick.
Yeah. Some good quality tags.
The Cowboys tagged Tony Pollard 1 year, $10 million. Personally, with him coming off the leg injury and the likelihood that they're going to release Ezekiel Elliott, I think that's a little steep. Great player, but on a team that I think don't have a ton of money and have other issues, I think having a straight up close to $11 million going to a running back that's coming off injury, don't know quite when he's going to be ready. I don't know if that's the best investment. Their O-line is not bad. You can get a running back in the draft, or like let's say there's rumors that the Ravens might cut Gus Edwards. You could get him for like $2 million.
True,
but
I get what you're saying. But when it comes to the franchise tag, when you see numbers for like players like wide receivers or quarterbacks being 35 million plus, you see that 10 point whatever million it is seems like chump change for a franchise tag. It also shows how much we talked about the running back position as a whole has depreciated in value in the NFL. You can see it. I mean, even
part of that.
You saw Daron Payne's
Todd Gurley.
Daron Payne's.
Well,
so for tag being tagged, D-line they're making more than running backs right now who want to tag. It's a solid. I think it was like 13 or something like that. Something close.
Yeah. And I'm not hating on Tony Pollard. I think we all love Tony Pollard. He's one of the more exciting players in the league. Mm-hmm. It's just
that was his job to take too. The injury.
I just didn't love the signing, but we can keep moving on. Some other players that got tagged. Evan Ingram, the Jags tagged him for. It's funny. The tight end tags more than the running back tag.
I was about to say I'd rather take Tony Pollard on a tag than Evan Ingram. He has one solid.
But Evan Ingram, he once it took probably about till halfway through the season, but once he clicked with the Jags offense and Trevor Lawrence and Peterson really figured out exactly how to use them. Mm-hmm. He was one of the more productive tight ends in the league. You can't argue that. I think he's a straight up receiver threat. Yeah, I mean, he's basically just another receiver. He's a little smaller build. You're not really going to rely on him much for straight up blocking. You got to move him around and whatnot, manipulate the defense with him, get him on a linebacker or a safety, and he gets open. But hey, for a young Jags team that went way farther than everyone thought, and they want to continue with it. Yeah, why not tag him, keep him on board? Maybe get an extension worked out. And it's basically going to be all running backs. The next guy tagged Josh Jacobs by the Raiders. They're probably kicking themselves because I'll be honest, I didn't really like Josh Jacobs his first few years in the league. Raiders obviously didn't either because they declined his fifth-year option. He comes out, leads the league in rushing, has by far his best year, which, I mean, hey, contract year, that's what people usually do. Now he gets the tag, so he'll get a prove-it year. If he puts up another year like this, someone's going to pay him. Just got to stay healthy. Then the next guy is Saquon Barkley. Same thing, 1 year, $10.1 million. I was a little surprised about this because his career's kind of been, all over the place. And the Giants were trying to figure out the deal with Daniel Jones. Personally, if I were the Giants, I would have tried to extend Barkley and tag Jones.
So, and that was the initial, I think, vibe that everybody was going for, especially in the media. But, the tag for a quarterback, again, is so much higher. For them, they're saving money by tagging Barkley and then signing Daniel Jones to this long-term contract, which obviously we all know, didn't deserve that much.
But they could have given him the non-exclusive, and I don't think they would have really had to worry about anyone trying to steal him.
Yeah, but like you don't see the non-exclusive. It's been a big topic, which we'll talk about later. You don't see it thrown around too often. The last time it was thrown on the quarterback was in 2017, 16 to Kirk Cousins, and we all saw how that went. But before that, there's never been a player to actually stay on the team that's gotten the exclusive tag, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really a good omen, but I feel like, I don't know. Dude, Giants,
I saw a crazy stat about Danny Dimes yesterday that said he's the only player to every year start more games than he's thrown touchdowns. And every single season it's gotten less.
Interesting stat.
Yeah, it was really weird, but it was like, so say, just for example, I can't remember the exact number. Say, 2000, what year did you get drafted? 19? 18?
Yeah.
2018? So say 19, he played 20, 15 games, 19. Threw 15 touchdowns. The next year he played in 14 games and threw 13 touchdowns. That's not the exact numbers, but you know what I'm saying, though. It's
okay.
That's throwing touchdowns. We all know he upped his running game last year, which was nice. He's got some long strides.
Yeah.
He's also the same guy that fell down on an 80-yard potential touchdown run because he couldn't contain his height to speed ratio.
He was just moving so fast.
He was leaning forward, and we all know how that goes. But yeah, no, I mean, I kind of get it. They were forced into that almost. Again, we all know the QB market isn't too hot right now. You got a few options out there. Roman's already committed to New Orleans. You got Jimmy G. Some other backups that people end up being backups. Like Teddy, Jacoby Brissett, stuff like that. It's just like with the Ravens and Lamar. What are they going to do? If you lose your quarterback, you've effed. So you kind of got to sign him. He was productive. It's hard to justify the contract, but you kind of understand it in a way.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the quarterbacks that got a new deal, and let's start with Geno Smith.
I was going to say the most deserving comeback player of the year.
We called it.
We called it. Oh, Sass is going to watch this and hate us.
So Geno Smith, he's with the Seahawks. They trade away Russell Wilson. He wins the job, breaks a couple of their passing records, leads the league in completion percentage, takes them to the playoffs, wins comeback player of the year. And he gets a 3-year, $75 million deal, and I'm pretty sure there's some incentives in there as well. He straight up got asked on his press conference. They said, "Hey, aren't you worried you're leaving money on the table?" And I'm pretty sure he said that, he's just happy to be a starter. This is a fair deal for him, and it gives the Seahawks the ability to build a very good team around them.
Exactly.
Yeah, he says he wants to prove that he is a top quarterback and he wants to win with them. So, I mean, if he's fine with that,
he's still making
better
3-year deal, guaranteed like $80 million or something like that. I can't remember what exact. I can look it up, but it's not a bad deal at all, especially given his story. Most people know his Geno Smith story. Highly touted coming out of West Virginia, didn't work out in New York. Yeah. Broke his jaw, bounced around. 10 years later, he figured it out. He said, I saw a press conference. He came there. He loves the fit. He loves Pete Carroll, and he brings people up. I think the coolest thing about the whole thing is that with the 10 years included in this, quarterbacks now play for 20 years plus. If you're on average, not average, but a solid, even for backup, you'll play for a longer. It's a longer tenure for an NFL player. He's only been in the league 10 years. He's got 10 years to literally just keep adding on to his resume.
He could easily have another 6 good years in him.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
And $75 million is more than almost anyone really needs. So let's not act like he didn't get money out of it.
No,
but I like his thought process. He's leaving, sure, he maybe left a little bit of money on the table, but he's also betting on himself. Like, if he comes out for the next 2 years and repeats what he did,
exactly,
he'll be able to
another extension on the table.
Get another extension for even more money at that point.
top dollar
especially
QB.
If the Seahawks are able to build up that O-line some more, Kenneth Walker takes the next step. They can keep going with T.J. Lockett and Metcalf. Add some more pieces to their young defense. That they have tons of young talent on the defense. It just hasn't clicked yet. If he can, get playoff success with them, like it's gonna be a great, a great story.
Yeah, definitely, and it's cool because I don't know if one of y'all agree with me when we were predicting like possibly the selling of the Seahawks, going forward. Like, what do they do now? And especially in the beginning of the season, we're definitely thinking maybe Metcalf and Lockett get traded, but now you actually have a quarterback. You have these wide receiving weapons. Why get rid of them? There's no reason to.
Yeah,
build that O line up. You have Kenneth Walker, who is is a very possible Rookie of the Year candidate last year. He was top dog. Breece Hall was doing his thing, got hurt, whatever. That's a solid back you have right there. What else? You got some defense. You got the two corners you drafted, rookie studs. Obviously, Tariq Woolen, and then even Kobe Bryant did good. I mean, you got some good stuff to work with. We'll see how Pete Carroll handles it and see if he stays around.
You hope that. I mean, this is kind of playing out how Pete Carroll wanted. I imagine he got a quarterback that does his system, doesn't cost them all their cap flexibility, and it's kind of like back when they had Russell Wilson on his rookie deal when they had all their success,
the flexibility, Legion of Boom, defensive loaded.
So. I mean, I'm not really a Seahawks fan, but I'll root for Geno Smith. So I hope they do like good things moving forward.
I guarantee they have more wins next year if they just take Jamal Adams from safety and put him at linebacker where he belongs.
Yeah, we'll see how he does with that injury.
Yeah.
So we already talked about it a little bit, but the next quarterback to sign, Daniel Jones, signs a 4-year, $160 million deal. I'm trying to remember what the guarantee was.
I think it was 80 plus.
Give me a second.
Yeah. I always forget we can just Google it.
Yeah, I'm trying to. My computer, of course, is cooperating. So
the G-Man making G-money moves.
So Daniel Jones, after Brian Daboll comes in, turns the whole Giants organization around. Saquon Barkley has a bounce back year. Daniel Jones gets his payday. I think the thing it shows, I think this says less about Daniel Jones and it says more about the state of the quarterback in the NFL.
Exactly. It's very sparse.
Because if we look at his numbers last year, which was supposedly his best year, pulling them up now, he had played 16 games. He threw for 3,200 yards, had 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, rushed for another 707, which, I mean, that's great and all, but those passing numbers are super pedestrian.
I mean, it'd be one thing if he was a running quarterback, but he's technically not a running quarterback. So your focus is still on the pass game.
He's got some wheels. It's just like
it's stride.
He got 700 yards and 7 touchdowns.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's more of the defense, though. They weren't focusing on him running the ball. Even after watching film the week before, they were like, "Oh, well, we ain't worried about him running the ball." And he especially on the read option when he would hit him.
He's a white guy.
Yeah, I mean, it just is what it is, and he's not Johnny Manziel. Like, it's the unpredictability of the play call. I think is more. It's more on the coaching staff than him, in my opinion.
But so with Daniel Jones, like we went over, like he is what he is. I mean, he did have a 92 quarterback rating, and he did lead the Giants to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But I was listening to a radio show, and they were saying, if you look at the NFC right now, right, who's the number one quarterback in the NFC?
Jalen Hurts.
All right, who's the number 2 quarterback?
I don't want to say Dak, but I mean Aaron Rodgers, I guess.
Rodgers.
We don't know where he's going to go.
We don't know where he's playing.
Yeah, that's why I don't know where he's going to go.
People who are signed to the NFC right now, who's the second best quarterback?
I would definitely say Dak over Danny. I hate Dak, but it is what it is.
So this is how I don't have a list in front of me, right? So I'm going. I'm going. Jalen Hurts by far number 1, far and away number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Dak, Geno, Daniel Jones.
So there you go. There we go.
I could probably argue with you that Daniel Jones could be 2.
I'd pick Kirk Cousins over Danny, I think.
But I could probably argue that Daniel Jones could be 2. Like
Justin Fields, I'd pick potentially over him too with that run game, with the way he can run the ball. I get your point though. Your point is when it comes to available options in the NFC, who's your top teams? Who's your top quarterbacks? And when it comes down to it, the Giants and Daniel Jones are up there right now. The NFC is weak.
And if you're the Giants, you can say I'm sure they thought they were going to get a better deal. It's not an awful deal, but it's more money than I thought he was going to get. Especially when we look at Geno Smith's contract.
Yeah, but Geno Smith's
yeah, but with Daniel Jones, and if you're the Giants front office, you go, we made the playoffs. The outside of the Eagles, there's no juggernauts in the NFC. Why our options are to hope we can take the next step, trust Brian Dable to make that next leap with Daniel Jones, and we continue making some playoff runs, get the Giants turned around. Because the other option is to cut ties with him. They don't have a great and they don't have a top draft pick, so they're not going to draft anyone. Even if you do that, you're developing a new guy.
It's a rock and hard place quarterback scenario, kind of with us, Kirk Cousins back.
And also, if they get rid of Daniel Jones and you're trying to get another QB to come to you, I mean, it's not like a spot that, one, you don't want to deal with playing in New York and the New York media. The Saquon Barkley you're going to be your best weapon, and he's shown that he's highly injury prone. O-line's middle of the pack, not bad, not good. And then your number 1 receiver is who?
Not Kenny Galladay. I guess Wandale Moore and then number 18 guy. I can't remember his name. And then you have Behringer.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not if you're a quarterback free agent, you're not I want to go play for the Giants.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's understandable if you're forced. It was a force though. Everybody needs to understand. It's not like he's worth it. It's what else can we do? I mean, you got to make a move, and he's got to hope it's the right move. And also, he's one of the first quarterbacks I've seen to get the 5th-year option, and to end up getting signed like that. You don't really see it. Most quarterbacks get drafted, and you get 3 years if you're lucky to prove yourself. He got 5. I mean, he did it. He did happen to play his best football when his 5th-year option. But at the end of the day, we got a lot of quarterbacks coming into the league, and if they end up more on the NFC side, things could turn around in the next 5 years. And it is what it is, though. The Ravens won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco and had to pay him. We saw what happened afterwards. At least he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
That's true. So the last quarterback that signed the big deal, you got Derek Carr going to the Saints, 4 years, $150 million.
I'm still confused, though. How come he signed? Is it signed, or is it this we have to wait till the 13th for tampering to actually start type of thing? Because how is this even discussed right now?
He got cut.
That's what I was saying. So if you're released, it's not like you're it's okay, yeah, because you got cut, you're allowed to be signed earlier. That's what I was trying to just kind of clarify from before.
Yep.
Because tampering, legal tampering starts in 3 days. Jesus Christ.
I hate
legal tampering. I know. We talked about that before. Oh, look, Siri. She decided to jump in. That's hilarious.
Illegal. So I think the whole Derek Carr signing is interesting. I've always kind of liked Derek Carr.
Yeah. We talked about Derek Carr.
I've always
He's a good quarterback.
I know Derek Carr, for whatever reason, it's like depending on who you talk to, they might go most underrated or most overrated. Like I feel like people are always one or the other. But I mean, he playing for the Raiders, he dealt with different coaches, different coordinators, rebuilding, playoff pushes, but let's just go through the career of Derek Carr. His rookie year,
especially comes in back injury.
Yeah, his rookie year, he comes in, plays all 16 games, throws for 3,200 yards, 21 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
Not bad for a
awesome.
Rookie. Yeah,
Second year, he comes in, plays 16 games, throws for almost 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Ends up breaking his leg at the end of the year. I lied. It's the next year. But the second year, still really good.
Mm-hmm.
His third year, he comes in, plays 15 games, again, throws for right under 4,000 yards, has 28 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, 96 quarterback rating, breaks his leg at the end of the year, arguably would have won MVP over Matt Ryan had he not had the injury.
Yep.
Comes back from the injury the following year, comes back from a broken leg, plays 15 games, throws for 3,500, 22 interceptions, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Not his best year. It's statistically, it's one of his worst years.
Coming off a broken leg.
2018.
This was his year, right?
Before
the back injury. It's the one whatever year the back injury happened.
It's 2018, 4,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
So the yards were the highest
mediocre.
Yards. Highest yards he's gotten, but the touchdown interceptions.
2019, same story, 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Then you get to 2020. His second year in Gruden's system. Throws for 4,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Statistically, his best year. 2021, the whole Gruden stuff, happens. Gruden gets kicked out and whatnot. He still goes 4,800 yards, almost 5,000, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, leads the Raiders to the playoffs. And then last year, it's a little bit of a disappointing year, seeing that they brought in Devontae Adams, but it's a new coach trying to learn Josh McDaniels' system. We know what we think about Josh McDaniels. He plays 15 games, throws for 3,500 yards, throws 24 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. This is a guy that in his career has over 35,000 passing yards. He has over 200 touchdowns and 99 interceptions. So he's still above the 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio that you usually judge a good quarterback on. Not great, but good.
Yeah.
And now he comes to the Raiders. Now he comes to the Saints with Chris Olave. And I think he's going to be, an improvement over Jameis Winston and what they've had. Like he'll be the best quarterback they've had since, Drew Brees left. And that division is completely wide open.
It is. It really is.
So I think it's a good signing. I don't think the money is too crazy. It's kind of the going rate. He's still only 31 years old. Mm-hmm. So when this deal is up, assuming he plays through, he'll be 35. Like that's
we just talked about the longevity.
Not that big of a deal. Yeah, who cares anymore? 35. Well, okay, keep playing. So yeah, I hope it works out. I don't have any ill will towards Derek Carr.
Yeah, I hope the best for him. The players are really excited. You saw Michael Thomas, said thank you, Lord, and then can't remember who else said something. Saints players are happy about it, and then you have Jameis Winston though, who had a little bit of a flash there in New Orleans last year before he tore his knee up, and then couldn't really stay healthy this year. But now they're still looking to resign him. I guess they want to keep him on as a backup. I don't know how he feels about that role change because I think he probably still assumes he has enough to be a starter. So we'll see. I don't think he'll take it.
I mean, injuries happen. It's always good to have a solid backup to take over if need be. But let's talk about the real topic that everyone wants to discuss. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. He gets the non-exclusive $32 million tag, which means that he can negotiate with other teams. Ravens will have an option to match the offer sheet, and if they don't, the other team owes them 2 first-round picks, or they can negotiate other compensation, but base is going to be 2 first-round picks. We kind of all thought we were going to get here. I've been saying for a long time, I think Lamar Jackson, I think like halfway through the season, I said Lamar Jackson's gone. And once he got hurt, I said he's not playing another snap for the Ravens. It's kind of a tricky situation because on one hand, right, I can make the argument that he's one of the top 3 talents in the entire league. But on the other hand, I can make the argument, hasn't finished the season 2 years in a row, only 1 playoff win. You can make the argument that he hasn't gotten better as a passer over the last 3 years.
Exactly.
So it's tricky. Like, when's the last time you could say that about a quarterback in the NFL? And he's different. He's a freak, elite athlete. Anytime he steps foot on the field, you can argue that he's the fastest player on the field. But the Ravens did have to build an entire offense around him. I'm sure not every team wants to do that. He also doesn't have an agent. You know, you're negotiating with his mom. So some teams are going to be turned off by that.
At least 4. I saw a report of 4 teams are not interested almost solely because he doesn't have an agent.
Well, there's the whole story that the league's colluding to like get him lowballed so it resets.
I don't think
in a positive way for the owners, the market.
I call bullshit. Hard.
Well, the thing is, the thing that my thing though is like, sure, maybe some owners are in agreement, like, hey, we need to stop this skyrocketing quarterback market. But all it takes is one owner with deep pockets, like the Jets owner, to be like, screw it. We want $300 million.
Yeah, we don't care. We want to win. We don't care about you. We don't care about our verbal agreements. Like, they could also say that just to defer them from trying to sign them. It's just everybody. I think everybody who knows at least a little bit about the NFL football nowadays understands who Lamar is and what he's capable of doing. I don't, it's hard to say if his ceiling's hit or not when it comes to throwing. Obviously, anything as a Washington fan, I'd take him in a heartbeat. If my team came out as a team and decided to do the 2 first-round picks and take all the money in the world, I'd be okay with it. But do I understand why not all teams are willing to do that? 100%. It's exactly what you said. He hasn't finished the complete season in 2 years. MVP, great, but what does the MVP do for the team? It is what it is. 1 playoff win, no AFC Championship appearances. It's just, you got to be reasonable. And at the same time, though, you saw Danny Jones. We just talked about Danny Jones. It is what it is. People are going to get overpaid. You got to accept that too. So I think 100% there's going to be more than 1 or 2 teams that come out and he's meeting with and end up beating, and the Ravens have to match offers against. I don't know what the media is doing. I don't know what the woke media, all that shit's trying to say. To me, it's just stupid, just because of the simple fact everybody knows who Lamar is and what talent he is. At the end, it is what it is. It's just that simple. A fully guaranteed contract doesn't happen in the NFL very often. We all know Deshaun Watson's has so many stipulations in it to cancel it.
Yeah, he's not getting a fully guaranteed,
and that's just what it comes down to.
And we don't know how the negotiations have gone. Neither side has really leaked much information. There's been some reports about what the offers and the numbers have been.
Exactly,
but it could be the Ravens could have been really lowballing him all this time. It also could have been that him and his mom are like
stubborn.
Yeah. Well, also the report that the NFLPA is like basically giving them all their assistance. Well, what does the NFLPA want? The NFLPA wants him to completely reset the market. like they do with every player. So I have no insight on this. It's just what I'm thinking.
It's opinion based.
The NFLPA could be hurting him because they could be saying, "Oh, they could be whispering in his ear, oh, you're the best quarterback in the league.
Get this.
You need to be the highest paid player in league history.
Don't settle for less.
You shouldn't look at anything else. You need to get a fully guaranteed deal, blah, 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 blah." And we have seen players in the past in all sports who got a decent offer, turned it down, and then it came back to haunt them. Look at Dennis Schroeder.
I was going to say for basketball, I was going to say Dennis Schroeder with the Lakers.
His name? Was it Nerlens Noel?
Yeah,
with the Mavericks, turned down like $60 million and ended up signing like a $3 million contract after he turned down $60 million or whatever.
Exactly.
Like it won't be that bad for Lamar, but
no. And Lamar's going to get paid. We all know he's going to get paid. It's just about how he's going to get paid, how it goes about the payment, what he's getting paid for, and how how the contract is laid out.
I feel like we have a decent understanding of like the business side, like what market value sets and positional value, and I would never be the type of person that would be like if you get paid, you get paid. Good for you. I'm never gonna go and say like, oh, you're so dumb. Like you should have left. Like shouldn't have taken so much money or blah 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 blah. Like if a team's gonna give you $400 million, take that $400 million. If someone wanted to give me a huge raise to do the same job I'm doing, I'm taking the huge raise.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you don't have to blame the player for going for their pockets ever. I mean, obviously, some players and vets they'll take those veteran. They'll change restructure whatever it is for their hometown team. Yada yada yada. But it is a business, and obviously, people need to look out for their pockets.
But like
the market's the market.
If I'm an owner, and Lamar Jackson comes to me and goes, "Hey, I want $50 million a year for 5 years, and I want it fully guaranteed," I'm gonna be like, "Okay, I get where you're coming from. You want like close to the Patrick Mahomes deal with a little Deshaun
security
Watson,
in case
Cousins
you do get hurt.
in it.
Yeah, you're taken care of. I get it.
Well, I'm going to look at it and go, well, for one, I'm not the Browns. I'm not the crazy Browns.
There you go. Good example.
Patrick Mahomes now has 2 Super Bowls and 2 MVPs.
And also is on a 10-year designed contract to be how it is for a reason.
Yeah. And also, you've missed, 11 games in the last 2 years,
and 5 of them last year could have been because you just felt like you didn't want to re-hurt yourself, and you didn't want to play because you were worried about your career, which again understandable. But as a business owner, you have to think the same way. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, so personally, I've been waiting Lamar to the Pats.
I could see it.
I'm waiting to see that.
I could see it. I mean, I think there's a few teams. Like I said,
they could give him. They could give him. They have money. They could give him whatever, like a nice deal. They can work with the Ravens. I don't know. Give the Ravens Mac Jones in the first.
I thought they had to get at least something. 2 firsts, no matter what.
No, so it's basically 2 first, or it's basically it's 2 first, or you can negotiate.
Okay. So because Mac Jones technically would be the value of a first for some teams. Because
the Ravens, the Ravens can basically go, yeah, we want the 2 first, but teams could be like there's a rumor that the Dolphins might want to make a move. Up until today.
They picked up 2 as qualified.
And people were saying it could be a first plus Jalen Waddle. The Ravens would probably take that.
I would take that. Are you kidding me?
So it's negotiable, but the Ravens can legally they have every right to be like, no, it's 2 first and that's all we want.
Especially because the 2 first could help them get a quarterback to replace Lamar this same year. You can use that as draft, to trade up. You take a player and then first you could trade up to get one of those, whatever, a couple other picks, just like the the Panthers did.
Yeah.
We'll see where I think the Ravens are going to match pretty much any offer that he gets, unless it's the exact contract that they're refusing.
But
you know what I'm saying?
because of their cap situation, they can't. This isn't the NBA where you can match and you just go into luxury tax.
Yeah.
So if a team with a big cap gave him a front-loaded deal,
it had to be front-loaded. It had to be like the
Ravens
next year
financially and cap-wise wouldn't be able to match it. So teams can 100% say, "Here's the offer sheet," but the Ravens are going to be like,
"You can't do it. Oh, gotta be quicker than that."
So that's why the Ravens are even in a worse situation.
That's true,
because they're making all these contract adjustments and they're making all these cuts to try and finagle their cap so they have wiggle room, but they don't have it. They really don't have it.
Traded Chuck Clark for a 7th-round pick, which I mean, he
and then also if you're, I mean, you can make he played the most snaps of any player on their defense this year. So,
ooh, I didn't know that. But I mean, that's. I mean, kind of like Amari Cooper. It's kind of like Amari Cooper.
I just heard that yesterday.
To the Browns. It's more because it's cap casualty.
But the Ravens are making all these moves to what looks like keep Lamar, and they end up losing Lamar. And now all these moves that you made to try and keep him just hurt you even more
because now you're just missing core pieces to your team. And all, both sides of the ball.
And their GM already ticked off their number one receiver.
Like, I think Baby's
out. I was talking to people earlier this week, and I was like, I'm waiting for Bateman to just demand the trade and say, you know what?
Would you blame him? Would you blame him though? I wouldn't. Not the way we talked about this last pod. The way the DaCosta worded it, it was just a horrible move on his part.
The way DaCosta worded it, and then all the rumors that the Ravens mishandled his injury diagnosis and whatnot.
So I didn't even really hear about the diagnosis.
I mean, it wasn't like that bad, but
that was a fucking atrocity. But I mean, that's what it is. That's why you got to hire good staff.
Was it you or Trevor that sent out the little meme about Daniel Jones on his way out the door?
No, it was Daniel Snyder. It was Daniel Snyder.
Daniel Snyder.
Yeah, so it was like a TikTok or a Twitter video or something. It was the way he walked in, like.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, coming from a Washington Commanders fan, I think if you're if you're like me out there, you understand the biggest piece to our missing puzzle is a quarterback. So any kind of young, talented quarterback gets offered to you, of course you take it. Do I understand why we wouldn't? I'd trust in Sam Howell too. Not trust in, but I'm willing to give him a shot. So, like, am I pressed on Lamar? No. Would I take him? Of course. But do I understand us not going for him? We just went for a free agent quarterback, and it didn't work out. Yeah, it was Carson Wentz. But still, you can't blame them for having a sour taste in their mouth that going after, free agent quarterbacks. I think we have way more issues to worry about, too, and the money. Like, it is what it is.
So I'm a little biased because Lamar Jackson just led me to the Super Bowl in our
it's pretty funny if you ended up on the Patriots too, like you said earlier.
Show franchise,
that
would be funny. But what about this move? I don't even know if this financially could work.
Is it feasible?
What if the Niners?
I've definitely seen talks on the Niners though.
Because I feel like they don't really care. They don't care about 2 first-round picks.
I think you're giving up on Trey Lance altogether, right? I mean,
you trade him to recoup some picks.
Use him as trade bait, yeah. Because I'm like, you're not going to let him.
Or just
learn behind Lamar.
Get Lamar, trade Trey Lance to make up some of the picks that you lost. Brock Purdy is going to be your little cheap career backup now.
So that's where Washington.
Great story.
Involved. We're going to trade for Trey Lance for those. That's what's going to happen.
Maybe. And then you got Kyle Shanahan with Lamar Jackson and Christian McCaffrey and Debo.
That's a dream team right there.
They could even work. They could send. I don't know. Part of the deal, they could send Ayuk to Baltimore. Like I'm sure Baltimore wouldn't mind having him.
The Niners do not need to throw deep to make their offense successful, which is really, really helpful for Lamar. No offense, but we all know it is what it is. It is one of his weakest part of his game.
Could you imagine Kyle Shanahan's little, motion play action offense with Lamar and Debo and Kittle and Christian McCaffrey all flying around the place?
He's got 4 safety blankets if the fucking options don't work. I mean, you're gonna have it's gonna be all short throws for high.
You got
to be a high yak team all day.
You're running the pistol with Lamar, McCaffrey, and
triple option. Bring it back. Oh, Eli Mitchell. Don't forget about him.
Eli Mitchell, yeah. Or just put Debo back there or whatever.
Yeah.
We put Gill at fullback.
I still think they should stop abusing Debo that way if he doesn't want to, because he's clearly not trying to get beat up like a running back. He wants to be a successful wide receiver, have more longevity in his career. We all know the average. I think I haven't checked. We haven't talked about it in like 10 years, but back then I think it was a season and a half for an average running back to last. Yeah, I'm sure it hasn't gone up too much, if not gone down. That's a whole separate conversation. We talked about that before too. He's a weapon. I understand wanting to be that Swiss Army knife, but he's got to be willing to do it himself. If he's not all in, he's not all in. He can't give his 100%, 110% every play if he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah,
that'd be a nice little offense we got there, though.
We'll see. I feel like things are gonna start moving fast. So
yeah, it's gonna come
see
out.
What happens?
And I'm excited about Aaron Rodgers as well to see if he gets up in New York. I'd love to see that, just because they do have weapons. They've obviously have done very well the last couple of years in the drafts. Draft is, it's not going to be a complete team rebuilder. Obviously, free agency and the players before Solid took over matter. If you can get whatever his name, Becton, if he can stay healthy, that'd be nice. And you got the defense. The Jets can definitely mess around and maybe definitely get a wild card next year, but maybe even go for the division if Buffalo can't stay strong.
Yeah, the way I see it, if they get Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers gets them potentially the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
If they get close to MVP Rodgers, they're competing for the division with that defense.
You got to keep Elijah Moore. You keep Elijah Moore, he gets more targets automatically with Rodgers. You have Garrett Wilson, who he was offensive rookie of the year, could have went to Chris Olave. Or no, was it Chris Olave or it ended up being Garrett Wilson? I think. Offensive rookie of the year.
Wilson
came out first round pick, stud. You got tight end, some options. I think you got Conklin and Uzma. O-line solid, D-line's great, secondary's great. The linebackers core is CJ Mosley's a little overrated, but he's solid enough. It's a team that could definitely compete in the AFC. The AFC is stacked though, so who knows? I think it could lead to some great football though. You see some great division matchups.
Aaron Rodgers versus Josh Allen,
Dolphins, exactly, and then you got the playoffs. It could go anywhere in the playoffs. Any team could win. It's any given Sunday anyway.
And then New York potentially becomes a great home field in the playoffs because New York gets pretty chilly, crappy weather, and he's coming from Lambeau, so he doesn't care about that.
Doesn't matter at all. Yeah, that's if anything, it's warmer in New York, right? Yeah, I would just love to see it. It'd be kind of funny too because the last great quarterback to leave the Packers ended up on the Jets. He had a stint there before he went to Minnesota. We all remember Jen Sturgis. I'm gonna say it's purple helmet, and if you don't get it, it's all good.
But yeah, a lot of moves going on. Anything else we want to talk about today?
I think we hit some nails on the head there. We got a lot of free agency offseason stuff coming up. It's one of the most exciting times of the year, minus the playoffs. Obviously open, during the season, obviously it's all good. But this is where things happen. Things happen for next year, and everybody gets excited because at this point we all have a chance. Every single team in the league has a chance to win the Super Bowl, and this is where you find out.
All start from the same spot. But yeah, Coming up, we're probably going to be discussing more free agency moves, more signings. We're going to start transitioning into our pre-draft coverage, get all those goodies for you.
Prospects up and coming. Let's go.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that. Got to start doing our research on these players we like and whatnot. Yeah, but that's going to do it for the show today. This is No Interference. We are your hosts, Westside and the Bull. As usual, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, give us a like, share, subscribe, follow, comment. You can follow us on social media. We are on Instagram and Twitter at The NI Show. And you can watch and listen to all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify.